Studio. Thank you very much for watching this great day on the occasion of this National Science Day. It's being celebrated today. The theme of this year is indigenous technologies for Viksit Bharat. On this day in 1928, Sir Chandrasekhara Venkataraman discovered a phenomenon of the scattering of photons, which was later known as the Raman effect. Today, in this event, our SAMSKRUTI Foundation has been conducting the tour and to the particular scientific research institutions. Some of the colleges are now going and visiting on this open day. Now here we have in the studio uh, Dr. Chaudhary Garu, ex BHL engineer here. He's with us, and he is also now participating in this great discussion. Namaste, sir. Welcome. Very first, I would like to ask you about the SAMSKRUTI Foundation. Actually, why SAMSKRUTI Foundation is taking this task and making these two groups initiation to visit the scientific research institutions from the various colleges in the city. Uh, what is your view, sir? And can you elaborate about this?
Yes, please. Thank you, Sri. Now, first of all, you asked me what is SAMSKRUTI Foundation. SAMSKRUTI Foundation is a trust which started functioning in the year 2009. As its name suggests, it is an organization dedicated to the preservation and promotion of our ancient, age-old culture. In fact, the stage of at which we are in our development as a modern nation, if you look at that, when other nations were in similar conditions, they were culturally much more aware of their own past, present, and their possible role in the future than perhaps we were, say, a decade ago. So we have taken upon ourselves the task of rejuvenating our age-old culture and bringing sensitiveness in the minds of the youth about our own great culture. So it is with that aim that the SAMSKRUTI Foundation was established about 14 years ago, not 10 but 14 years ago. We have been conducting several programs in different higher educational institutes to meet our objectives. Now, why we did this in our higher educational institute is that there we have got the target audience who can in a very fast and effective way propagate our message to the other sections of the society, and perhaps that is the most effective way in which that can be achieved. That's why we chose higher educational institutes as the means of carrying forward this mission of SAMSKRUTI Foundation and bringing cultural awareness and propagation of our culture in the minds of the peoples of India. Now, this is done through a few activities, concentrated, focused activities of SAMSKRUTI Foundation. I will just enumerate them very briefly. One is Vivek Subhashitam, which is a part of the celebrations that was done in the month of January, which begins on the birthday of Swami Vivekananda. You know, he is a great figure. He is the one who has kind of rejuvenated India more than a century ago. And it starts with that and it ends with the uh, uh, birthday of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, who was another youth icon, and concludes thereafter on 26th of January. So, in this time span, we have defense personnel, soldiers and our combat personnel, so that they don't miss out on this great important cultural festival on account of not being at home. So to see that their feelings of loneliness or missing that function is elevated to some extent. That is the third important activity. And last but not the least is the celebration of the Science Day. That is today. It is, as you said, on this day, 96 years ago, something happened which catapulted India into the committee of scientifically minded nations in the modern times. It's not that we didn't have science. In fact, we have a very rich scientific heritage, and we have contributed a great deal to the science in the early history and during the even pre-medieval times also. But for some time there was a lull, probably due to some extraneous factors. But in the modern time, though there were some important contributors even before this day when Sir C.V. Raman discovered the Raman effect, which is called Raman scattering. Before that also there were some contributors, but it is on this day something happened which got international recognition by way of culminating into a Nobel Prize for India, the first ever Nobel Prize. So therefore that day holds very significance for us, and we celebrated it vigorously. Now, why we celebrate this? One reason is that, as I said, it catapulted us into the modern scientific world. Secondly, it is also enshrined in our constitution that we must inculcate a scientific temper, scientific thinking in the minds of the citizens of this country. It is only when the citizens have a scientific temper, they are well educated, empowered, and rational, then they can contribute speedily to the progress of the nation. And it is with that aim that we celebrate this day.
Thank you, sir. Actually, from your view, I got this idea. This National Science Day, particularly titled Indigenous Technologies for Viksit Bharat, I think it signifies the dawn of the new era, because it connecting the international and national collaboration, and particularly uh, the recognition of science and technology uh, in the fields of, and my feeling is this whether it goes into the properly into the minds of the particular students of the colleges and universities, because for the reason only we have Samskriti foundations taken this task to making these institutions, colleges to visit the unpoor. I want to tell you that which institutions are now we are visiting. I want to explain this, particularly Geological Survey of India. One of the institutions today we are visiting, our students are going, and the another one is Survey of India, and another one is IIMR, Indian Institute of Millets Research. So last year, actually, the government of India particularly seriously taking this into the minds of the people for the purpose of the exports also. IIMR, almost 7 colleges are now visiting, and who are that? And actually, we are getting the information from the people. Now, sir, I want to ask you another one more question regarding this National Science Day. And is there any previous experience of this Samskriti Foundation earlier visited in the 2023 or 22?
Yes, actually, this experiment began some time ago, and we was the vision in which all people have a develop a scientific temper. But then, how does it come about? It just doesn't happen just like that. We have to do some concrete on the ground work so that that happens. Now, this Science Day gives an opportunity for the students of various educational institutes, higher educational institutes, where they get come into contact
with the people who are working in the institutes that they visit in the state of the art science. So therefore, they get an exposure to what is happening in the world and what's happening in India, our own nation, about that. So it is informative. First of all, they gather a lot of information about what's happening, and therefore they that may trigger thoughts in their minds which will help them also to pursue their own ideas in future. Everything needs some kind of a trigger. So this event of sending students to various research institutes, scientific institutes, is to explore the possibility or to promote triggering that kind of scientific thought. Let me tell you a small thing in this, why it is necessary. I had a colleague when I worked in BHEL who had his father working in the embassy, and their job was transferable, and during his school days he went to a few western European countries, France, UK, Germany, Italy, etc. He studied in many places for a year, 2 year, like that. Now he once told me that if you study in these institutes and when the science is taught, then the science is taught in such a way that the student get the feeling that all that is important in science was developed in that nation. If you are a student in Italy, the teaching is such that you feel that most important significant contribution to science has come from Italy, and others might have added something, but it is not significant. When you go to France, it is taught in the same way. It is the French scientists who have really contributed most, and so about other nations.
Okay.
Now, this may seem to be a little boastful or flattering, but well, to some extent it may be like that, but it has also got a deep psychological purpose. It instills a confidence in the minds of the students that yes, my nation has a scientific temper, it has produced great scientists, and therefore it is possible for it to contribute, I can also contribute. That kind of confidence is instilled in the minds of the students. It is for this purpose that it is important to send students to our own institutes, sensitize them to the contribution of our own people, and lit the flame of contributing further in their own active lives to the field of science, because it is the scientific development ultimately that will lead to the materialistic development of the nation. So spiritual development is also there. For that, we aim to become a Vishwaguru. But for material development, we also need to develop sciences, and of course, the offshoot of sciences are technology and engineering.
Thank you, sir. And this is the time to give you some more information. Actually, Sayana, actually, who was a minister in the court of Sri Krishna Devaraya. I think King Bukkarailu, Hariharailu Bukkarailu, the great Vijayanagara Empire of our South India. Actually, he has he had given a comment on a Rigveda verse. Uh, I want to tell you that तथा च संम्रियते योजनानां सहस्रे द्विद्वे शते द्विजयोजने एकेन निमिषार्धेन क्रमानं नमोस्तुते is actually ocean about you who travels 2202 yojanas in a half a nimisha. It's a verse in the Rigveda. What is the meaning? Actually, in the half minute means 30 seconds. The sun travels 2202 yojanas. In the Vedas, yojana is a unit of distance and the nimisha is a unit of time, that we know that. Actually, one yojana is equal to 8000 dhanus and bowstring length. It is actually the specific parameter of bowstring. Every man's height. And one yojana is 9 miles roughly. If you calculate it, finally, one nimisha means 24 into 60 into 60 to 27,000 into 15, 16 by 75 seconds. Finally, if you come to that 13.8 kilometers per second, is the speed of light, 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second square. Exactly that matches with this is the verse. Mr. Saina explained this. He had taken from the Rigveda verse. The speed of light is already mentioned in the later on the this Hanuman Chalisa also. The many people now, how many yojanas Surya traveling, that all is mentioned in the Hanuman Chalis also. This shows how the our ancient scriptures and culture is making these phenomena actually now what the science is inventing. It's very before established and mentioned. So for the reason now our college students, our people are visiting to know what exactly happens in the institutions, research institutions. What you earlier said, your Italian the example is that, and now, uh, sir, which college is now visiting? Shall we come to know that? And not only that, sir. Actually, regarding this Saina Latran Acharya Nagarjuna, actually he is the chancellor of Nalanda University. Chancellor of Nalanda University, and Vikram Sarabhai, and actually he's the have a photograph in the live now. Acharya Nagarjuna.
As you said, it is very important for us not only to pursue the modern sciences, which is anyway required, but it is great to know how, with the limited instruments, our ancient scientists gathered so much knowledge. It's really amazing to see. You see, IT or information technology is the modern day science. It would be a big fat zero without the invention of zero that was done in India. The whole of Europe knew some mathematics, but there was no concept of zero. And you know, fundamental to the concept of science, information technology or computer science is the concept of one and zero.
Yes, binary
The
operations.
binary operation. That zero is the contribution of India, without which no computer science could exist till date. So you see, we can take cue from this how our people had the habit of very deep thinking, and with limited instruments, through profound, profuse thinking and making use of their intelligence to gather knowledge about the world around us. Many contributions have been there. There have been Varamire, Aryabhatta.
Yes.
There have been great mathematicians, great metallurgists. Nagarjuna said a great chemist.
Yes.
Like that, we have contributed. We had a great metallurgy science also in practice. The Stamba at Delhi, Vishnu Stamba,
Yes.
which after more than 2000 years of its building, it has not corroded at all.
Yes.
Where people are still baffled about what is it that prevents corrosion in that. So that means we had reached the pinnacles of scientific developments earlier. We need to look into that afresh. And besides the modern sciences, we must also go back into our own sciences and see that wherever they had left, we take it from them and take it forward. One thing I would like to say, when we talk about our own developments of science, we seem to be bound by what has been done up till now. Well, that has been great, but we must also think of taking it further on. And that is one thing which the Sanskriti Adhyan Kendra unit of Sanskriti Foundation also does. It will not be just confining to where our people left because of the geopolitical reasons, because of the aggressions and all that. Our country went into a sort of inward looking mode for some time, but we have to come out of that and we have to dig out and take our own scientific achievements further into the future. That's what I think. That will be paying the tribute to the great discoveries of our past scientific discoverers and inventors.
Which institutions now actually open celebrating Open Day? Geological Survey of India and Survey of India, IIMR also, and any of our students visited there? Yes, sir. The photographs we can see now.
Yeah, this is
Yes, the photographs now sent by the students already reached the destinations, and now the college, Spurti Engineering College, almost 25 students with one faculty, and TCare Engineering College also there. 25 students with one faculty now, with the SF volunteers also there. And some survey of India now, Vivekananda Degree College, 25 students and one faculty also there. Hindi Mahavidyalaya also visiting survey of India. IIMR is visited by our Gokaraju Rangaraju Engineering College students and the KL University also. Our people already reached there, sending photographs and some videos also. So meanwhile, while actually in everyday our stotras, while reading the Adi Shankaracharya Virachita, that's the Dakshinamurti Sloka. In the Dakshinamurti Sloka, Desa Kala Kalana Vaichitra Chitri Kritam is a one sentence is there in Sloka. In that actually it is explaining about the three-dimensional universe, and it's leading to the fourth dimension also. What they said actually, Desa means it's a space, and Kala means time. So two dimensions came. And Kalana means substance. So it's clearly he explained about that, and you know that about the Trigunas, Tripura, universe law, different combinations of and the Vishnu Sahasra and Lalita Sahasra. Also we can see that. And in our body also, every organ is related to how it related to the universe, and we can see it in every Kavacha Stotra also, because I am not very acquainted with the Samskrita and all this, but all these dimensions, directions, and Panchabhutas, and all this how that all linked. And recently, one of my yes, we can see that there our students are visiting now. Right, sir, and in the Namaka Chamaka, the explanation is there, and if you can see through the physics, you can get one idea, and if you can see through the chemistry, you can get another idea, and even you can see the Ajhatmika Kona also, angle also. And for example, he explained the IICR, Indian Institute of Technical Research Institution, friend explained about the Chamakam. It is there. Ekachame, Trisashchame, Panchachame, Saptachame, Navachame, Ekadachame, Triyodachame, Panchachame. And if we look into that, he explained about the atomic structure. It's so surprised the atomic structure 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2. It's called the electronic configuration is there. It's explained about the electronic configuration. So some of our this communists and all there's actually the I can't tell them about now. So whenever you are very much interested and excavating the science, then automatically our Hindu dharma comes into
Actually, what is well known fact is that the scientific knowledge, lots of it, they were there, but it is slightly interpreted in our scriptures.
Yes, yes.
So that inscription is perhaps deliberate or perhaps due to habit, I do not know, but it is perhaps deliberate so that no one, the undeserving, doesn't get access to that.
Yes.
So there has been, if you can decode the encryption,
Yes.
a trove of knowledge will be accessed, and we need to train the current day researchers who look into our own heritage and language into
Sir,
that.
Chaudhary sir, now our students
Yeah,
now
we will
started
be
visiting the research institutions now.
Gokaraj Institute.
Yeah, this is Gokraji Institute of Engineering Technology. Our students are there. They starting the process. Yes, they're sending the information about that. Right, sir. So, yes, please continue, sir.
Yeah, no,
From
I'm
our
not saying that encryption,
yeah,
but it is not easy because this encryption makes it, multi-valued or dual-valued. So therefore, what is relevant where and what is not, to how to develop that discretion, you need thorough and in-depth knowledge of the scriptures.
yes,
Currently, unfortunately, those who have the deep knowledge of our scriptures, they are not perhaps well versed into science, and vice versa. Though those who have reasonable knowledge of science are not versed into our scriptures. So we want people who have both.
Yes.
If that best of both worlds is taken, then that is the sure success due to unearth a lot of knowledge which is useful, which is eternal, and which is for the benefit of mankind. So that we have to create that kind of people who, while they are proficient and experts in the modern science, also know about our scriptures and find and have discovered the ways of extracting knowledge by way of this decryption of the encrypted knowledge.
Sir, now our Gokraju Rangaraju Institute of Technology people are visiting that IIMR, Indian Institute of Millets and Research Technology. Uh, Actually, regarding that IIMR, uh, Hyderabad, actually, is the Indian Institute of Millets and Research Institution. It is there in the Indian Institute of Millets Research, located actually.
It's a very relevant and current topic of
Yes,
huge
sir.
current
Yes, sir.
interest.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is in Rajendra Nagar, engaged in basic and strategic research of what we can call it as Sungtam and other millets. Actually, IMR operates under the as of Indian Council of Agricultural Research. Actually, Himayat Sagar Road. It is near Rajendra Nagar Mandal in Telangana. Is almost it's founded in 1958, sir. Actually,
Yeah, that Rajendra Nagar area is a hub of activity related to the field, broad field of agriculture. We have the agriculture university also there.
yes, now their video. Survey of India is being visited by our Vivekananda Government Degree College students. Hindi Mahavidyalaya, 50 students are there. Students entering into the campus of Survey of India, Hachiguda, Hyderabad.
Surveys, role-based surveys now, all mechanisms, surveys, so surveys, getting more information of surveys is very important. It prevents those students. That is unlucky.
Yeah, that's, actually the Survey of India is a national survey and mapping organization, sir, of the country, and the Department of Science and Technology is working. The actual oldest scientific department of the government of India.
Yes.
It is established in, for our surprise, it is established in 1767, sir. And has evolved rich traditions over the years. Actually, it's assigned role as the nation's principal mapping agency now. The Survey of India bears a specific responsibility to ensure that the country's domain is explored and mapped suitably. Provide base maps for this one. Right, sir?
In the that reminds us of an interesting fact that earlier, in 2 centuries back, the surveying of the land was done on horseback.
Oh, okay, okay. Actually, I surprised to see that it's established in 1767.
Yeah. So, Sir Arthur Cotton, when he surveyed the Godavari for creating the barrage at Rajamundry, it took months for him to survey the whole land, and he went on horseback on a large number of areas. But it is that old deed. See, the barrage was constructed only after doing extensive survey of the area.
Oh.
With the technology available then, they used to move around on horseback to different places and with their instruments and did that. So, surveying is an art known to mankind for a very long time. In our good old days, the maps of India were constructed using the surveying techniques. You find the map of India as done by our or made by our ancestors, and it is very close to the map now found out from the satellite images, and that matches very closely with that. So that means The surveying is a science which has been there for a long time, known to you, mankind,
Oh.
and particularly us Indians.
And very interesting fact that in our Ramayana also, while this Ravana, Angada, and all this, they are giving about the directions, how to reach the Lanka, Ravana's Lanka, and how they mapped all that in the very ancient years. This is very surprising, and particularly this actually is regarding this survey of India. Uh, it is actually 1950. Almost 22 directorates are working now, and actually all of their topographical data also they are creating at the digital centers. Uh, yes, you can see now. There in the survey of India, Saisham.
There are news grounds also that they seem to be waiting to enter some lab.
Yes, sir. Actually, the Survey of India it provide the basic map coverages required for the development of the country's technology, the latest in the world, to meet needs of actually defense forces also, and planners and actually scientists in the field of geosciences and resource management. Also, experts advice is being utilized by various ministries and undertakings of government of India, and sensitive areas also, including settlement of international borders, boundaries, and assisting the planned development of the that now the border roads organization also going with the, because it's sensible and the borders also very sensitive. Now the Survey of India is working on that clearly now using the digital technology more in that fields. Now our students are visiting there and to know various interesting
I want to know about minerals, mineral
Okay.
resources and all.
Okay, okay. So, do you know anything about GSA? You heard about GSA, Geological Survey of India?
Yeah, I have already heard about this, sir, but I don't have much knowledge about it.
Okay.
So that I came.
So, what you have?
They will do. Always I want to.
Okay, very nice. Anyone? Okay.
So actually we have in our college we have meeting knowledge. So we don't know how the phenomena go in
Activities.
in this type of activity.
Okay.
So we are really excited.
From sports engineering college. As we are from ID background and today is the science day, we are very excited to know things like how to work out in the science field. Yes, we are very excited to know those things.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sai Sham.
The students have a lot of curiosity, and I think they are being addressed. Their questions are being addressed there. Good, nice.
Yes, sir. Now, this actually this is the importance of C.V. Raman's photon effect, sir. Uh, actually, Raman effect we are talking about earlier. It's very interesting, sir. This phenomenon actually when light meets particles that are smaller than that light's wavelength, the light spreads into different locations, different dimensions, directions, because the incoming photons energy can be transferred into the molecules, giving to a higher level of energy. So these fundamental light particles, because light particles different theories are there, but in particular this after getting this Raman's effect only, now even our fiber optics also working on that. That this much of the photon effect is the, because of that only in the 1930 the Nobel Prize was given to Raman, the first person of the country or nation. I think in 1950 Bharat Ratna is awarded. On the stage very Science Day is being celebrated.
In fact, I will add to what you said actually. With the advent of lasers in the early 60s, the laser Raman scattering, another application of the Raman effect. What Raman effect says is when light is incident upon a molecule, it scatters lights, but the frequency of the scattered light is slightly different from the incoming frequency,
Yes.
and that change depends on the structure of the molecule which scatters it.
Okay.
So this has got a great applications in spectroscopy, in chemistry, in physics, when identifying the properties of the matrices on which it is done. So this laser Raman spectroscopy is a new field of research that came up because of the discovery of this effect. It's extremely useful in spectroscopy. So it's not research for the sake of research. It is also indeed very useful discovery that Sir C.V. Raman made.
Oh, thank you, sir. Is there any college there or institution actually still coming? Thank you, sir. And sir, Chaudhary sir, and like know from your previous experiences regarding your BHEL, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, now it's supporting our defense forces mainly. Actually, I have no actually particular scope to visit there in this time. But can you explain about the how the BHEL is now supporting the our defense forces and services?
I will answer your question like this. In fact, I left BHL in the year 2003. That's
Wow,
more
wow.
than 20 years
Very
ago.
long time.
But for more than a decade prior to that, we had sort of started looking at the possibility of helping research,
Haji.
the helping defense industries, because in under one roof we had several disciplines and the basic laboratories of several disciplines under one roof in BHL. It was a unique industrial R&D at that time. No other R&D could boast of that kind of diverse facilities for general research, and therefore one of the things that we thought we could do was to help in research. Many projects on the research were offloaded to BHL R&D, and many top level scientists and engineers worked on that. In fact, I also had an opportunity, let me tell you, to work on a couple of projects while during my tenure there. Of course, I can't tell more the details about it, but what it will suffice to say that the thermal systems, the structural integrity, and many other things of defense related products were something which we worked on, and that activity is in fact only grown further in the last 2 decades. So I have not been around, but I learned from my friends that BHL is indeed involved in helping in the research in the defense industry, and it is contributing its might. You know, the our satellites are there. They have very used fuel tanks. No, those fuel tanks are made very special. There are very hazardous chemicals in that. Now, in order that those chemicals don't corrode the surfaces of those containers, those very specialized coating techniques are used. We used to do that in those days when I was there, and we have supplied the containers for many of those launches which contain those liquids, propulsion liquids, and that coating work, which is specialized technology, our metallurgy department and material sciences department did that. We did that for several projects of ISR in those days.
Those
In
days,
the,
20 years
in
back,
the
almost
90s and
90s, 30
early
years back.
2000s, yes. So that is, I can tell you that this is that is how we may not be extremely high-end job, but fields which involved use of technology, and where the technology is not only just obtained but well established. In such ways, we work help the defense industry.
Right, sir. Our students also visiting IIMR regarding this IIMR, Indian Institute of Military Research. Actually, this is a premier agriculture research institution engaged in basic and strategic research of the different millets. Uh, Fortunately, we have this institution in Hyderabad also. This coordinates and facilitates millets research at national level through all Indian coordinated research projects on millets and parallel millet and small millets, and it provides linkages with various national and international agencies also. Almost 50 scientists almost working in that IIMR, Indian Institute of Military Research Institutions. and almost 17 disciplines and 36 technical, almost administrative also 30 administrative people are also there. Actually, it is 1958. This institution first established on the project and intensified research of cotton and
ढांचा वही मजबूत था जिसकी नींव डीएसटी द्वारा आयोजित की जाने वाली चिल्ड्रन साइंस कांग्रेस और इनिशिएटिव फॉर रिसर्च एंड इनोवेशन इन स्टेम आईरिस राष्ट्रीय मेला और मानव स्कूल स्तर से विज्ञान और प्रौद्योगिकी के प्रति रुचि जगाने का एक सतत प्रयास है। मोबाइल साइंस लैब्स और प्रदर्शनियों के द्वारा ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों के बच्चों तक पहुंच बनाई जा रही है जहां साइंस एक्सपेरिमेंट्स की सुविधाएं नहीं। डीएसटी का साइंस फॉर इक्विटी एम्पावरमेंट एंड डेवलपमेंट सीड प्रभार राष्ट्रीय अनुसंधान और विकास प्रयोगशालाओं S&T संचालित गैर सरकारी संगठनों को विभिन्न क्षेत्रों में अवसर प्रदान कर रहा है। भारत अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर विश्व के अग्रणी देशों के साथ विज्ञान और प्रौद्योगिकी के क्षेत्र में द्विपक्षीय समझौते कर कार्यक्रम चला रहा है।
Innovations highlighted in this remarkable film. It gives me immense pleasure to announce the release of Vigyan Ki Awaaz, a captivating
Right,
podcast
sir.
series featuring the voices of Indian. Let's
Now we are talking
power of
about our
storytelling as we delve into
students
the fascinating world
who are
of
visiting
science,
there in the IIMR. And
Vigyan.
actually, in the 2014, this director of Surgam Research upgraded to the status of Indian Institutes of Military Research. Earlier, it is actually National Research Center for Surgam. Means, and yes, yes. Sugandha Dravyala Board atla undedi. Now it is changed to the millets research. It is actually in the last year's budgets also the millets year, 2023. I think is the millets year. The government's given the budget also for that sufficient budget. That's called the Sri Anna also. Our finance minister also announced many props for this. Now we can go through the in the time in 5 minutes we go to the government of India is conducting many national celebrations even this National Science Day. Meanwhile, sir, in the earlier I started about the Ramayana's mapping issues.
Yes.
So the if we talk about this pharma industry, earlier also had a discussion about Hanuma got the Sanjeevan
Yes.
for the purpose of Lakshmana's life. Is also there. Not only that, you started about the zero invention of zero that creates the revolution in the binary operations. And nowadays, the computer, total computer technology and software depending on that only. This what earlier, sir, said about zero invention and Aryabhatta also in the space research. Yesterday, our Prime Minister introduced the four scientists who are for the purpose of Gaganyaan, introduced to the nation. The four scientists.
Right.
we are making progress in the modern science as well as rediscovering our ancient knowledge also. Interestingly, in the Ramayana, it seems to be in one of the kandas, the geography of the whole world is described where what is lying. That is also there in this. In I am not remembering the exact context, but the geography as it exists today matches very well with that.
Cluster,
So,
BITS planning cluster, and ICT Mumbai cluster to join us on.
let's
Sir, no, you can carry on, sir.
Yeah,
We are
so-
getting the live from other
So,
ways. We are connecting.
Indonesia, if you go to the east, west, north, or south, what kind of countries you find, what kind of topography you will find, and where you will find what, that description is there in Ramayana, which matches very, very well with what you actually observe today. So it's not just some myth or just imagination of a poet.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
reality.
Right, sir. And recently I came to know that regarding this Andaman and Nicobar Islands, while Samudra Langana, Hanuma, actually he got a mountain there. That is Mainak mountain. Andaman, the last syllables of two syllables, Maina, and from the Nicobar, Nico. The both combined we can get Maina. So this actually Andaman Nicobar Island. Regarding this, and how he traveled and how he gone through this, just some of the persons are explaining about that. Now we can go to for the live telecast of our National Science Day celebrations. Uh,
propelling our nation towards a greater, greener future. So I respectfully invite Dr. Anita Gupta, Head of CEST Division, Professor B.G. Fernandez from IIT Bombay, and Dr. Suresh Babu to join us for the release of this white paper on evolution, catalyzing a technology-led ecosystem for Bharat e-mobility. Thank you very much. अब मैं केंद्रीय राज्य मंत्री स्वतंत्र प्रभार विज्ञान एवं प्रौद्योगिकी, राज्य मंत्री पीएमओ, कार्मिक, लोक शिकायत, पेंशन, परमाणु ऊर्जा एवं अंतरिक्ष विभाग माननीय डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी से विनम्र अनुरोध करूंगा कि हम सबको राष्ट्रीय विज्ञान दिवस के अवसर पर अपने शब्दों से, अपने विचारों से अभिप्रेरित करें और आप सबसे तालियां प्रार्थित हैं।
Member Niti Aayog, Dr. Saraswat, Principal Scientific Advisor Professor Sood, Secretary Biotechnology Dr. Gokhale, DG CSIR Dr. Kalai Selvi, Secretary DST Professor Abhay. I can see some of the eminent faculty members over here, former Secretary DST Professor Ashutosh Sharma, directors of different institutes, members of the scientific fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. I think at the outset I have to compliment each one of you and also myself for observing the National Science Day, which is a kind of a festival and a celebration for the entire scientific fraternity of the country, and also commemorates the miraculous discovery of the Raman effect by Nobel laureate Professor C.V. Raman almost 100 years ago. And at a time like this, when we are witnessing India in a state of a rising trajectory, I think it's also one of the better times, if not the best times, happening for the science and technology as far as India is concerned, also for the scientific community, because we have a leadership in place under Prime Minister Modi, which has provided us an enabling milieu. And therefore, there have been a series of successive strides, landmarks in different streams of science, which have given India a global recognition. We are, as was being mentioned also earlier, made a quantum leap as far as our startup movement is concerned. Again, it was Prime Minister who spoke from the ramparts of the Red Fort, and half of the population of India was not actually very clear about what it all meant. But today we see from 350 or 400, we've gone up to more than 1 lakh. And as was being mentioned by Professor Sood, we are, and also Dr. Saraswat, we are now more than 100 unicorns. We are rated number 3. I think that's what was left unsaid. And that's a miraculous rating. We are number 3 in the startup ecosystem in the world. So, and these are some of the parameters which are not manufactured by us, not designed by us. These are the global parameters. So now for the first time, I think the Indian scientific achievements have started receiving global recognition and have started also creating role models for the rest of the world to follow. In science, similarly, you saw in that brief picture visuals of the space missions. I know how far it sometimes doesn't occur to our mind that we launched our first space mission a few years after Americans had already landed a human being on the surface of the moon in 1969. That was Neil Armstrong. But today, we are there at the southern pole of the moon before everybody else. And the others are then looking forward to the cues from us. Similarly, we started off in a very primitive manner as far as the biotechnology was concerned. We were late actually, even the department was set up much later. But today, it is the same department which is given the... And therefore, from a country which was, a nation which was not known very seriously about healthcare strategies, is now being hailed as a preventive healthcare leader. Similarly, in the agriculture sector, the CSIR is there, the Aroma mission, the Purple Revolution. I think the very fact that it received a slot in the Republic Day parade at Kartavya Path is an evidence enough, and I don't have to add to that because it's now being... So we have actually from this department given this country a new option or a new avenue of agri-startups and a new genre. So a number of firsts have happened in the last few years in the space sector, in the medical and the biotechnology sector, in the agriculture sector or the CSIR. Also, from the, as far as biotechnology is concerned, we were just about $10 billion in 2014. In 10 years, we are 13 times higher. We are $130 billion. So these are some of the statistical evidences, because all of you would agree that we have been taught not to talk without evidence and not to talk without statistics. So the statistics bear out the measure of success that has happened in the last few years. Similarly, if we are looking for clean energy, it's we who are now setting the target of net zero for 2070. It's India who's giving the targets. And it's we who are also setting the target of having, because almost it's been estimated that more than 12% of the carbon dioxide emission happens from the road transport. So we have set for us as the target of achieving 30% electric vehicle market by 2030. And by 2030, we have also set for ourselves the goal of having totally electrically driven two-wheelers and three-wheelers. So we have now the confidence and the capacity to lay down these ambitious goals for ourselves, about which till a few years ago we were not thought about very seriously. And in the same vein as was also being underlined and being stressed upon by Dr. Kalai Selvi, the indigenous technologies, and most of them are actually indigenous. Our Chandrayaan mission, our Aditya mission, they're not only from nut bolt, but even the team is indigenous. And many of them, incidentally and happily so, headed by women scientists. So, and when we talk of the indigenous technology, I think it's an occasion for me. I was discussing with Dr. Rajesh. I said, might we use this opportunity to also share with this learned audience and also with the media friends that we have actually concluded the first ever human gene therapy trial in hemophilia. And hemophilia is, as you know, is one of the flagship programs in the health sector as far as the Government of India is concerned. As this program has been supported by the Department of Biotechnology, the Stem Cell Research Center in Bengaluru has conducted this human gene therapy trial in Christian Medical College, Vellore. We'll wait for the results and of course we'll carry on the series, but we have already made the initiation and hit upon the first destination. So we are now in a position where we are also offering leads and cues to others. The Department of Science and Technology, headed by Professor Abhay, is providing more than, through its incubators, providing thousands and thousands startups support and also job opportunities to more than 1 lakh or almost 1.5 lakh. So it's not only now confined to the research alone. We are hugely, hugely contributing to the economy of this country. So gone are the days when the science labs were considered only to be, some dingy elements. The other day, I only suggested, and I think we'll follow it up in a larger way in the other institutes also. I said we should have more and more of interactive programs with the stakeholders. For example, the CSIR dealing with the plant and the aromas could have more and more farmers program. And incidentally, when I was there in one of the farmers program, one of the farmers said that we passed by this institute for years and years. We didn't know what was happening inside. कुछ लोग कहते थे कि यहाँ पर कोई मेंढकों को मारा जाता है, कोई कहते थे रात को भूत नाचते हैं क्योंकि ये पता नहीं डेड एनिमल्स को करते हैं, और कोई कहता था ये भी कि अस्पताल है कुछ शायद जानवरों का. I said, thank God they didn't say that कि इलाज करने वाले भी जानवर हैं. So all kinds of stories happening. The same is happening in Nagpur also. The other day, hardly anybody has peeped into these institutes. So now we have started reaching out. I think that's very important. I was telling Rajesh, if we don't reach out, it's not only for our publicity, it's also for the good of others. So many myths are created because we don't reach. So myths not only in the society, but also myths about the kind of work that we are doing. Now I was telling him only this morning, I said, you come out with papillovirus vaccine, this has been much talked about. But talked about as what? As a cure for cervical cancer, which to be scientifically very specific is not true. It's only half the truth. It's only coming, it's working against a virus which has been known to be one of the contributors, if at all, sometimes, may or may not. So if we don't, and when the marketing sector takes over, it creates those kind of hypes which may sometimes be a little out of place. So we have to reach out so that we have the stakeholders making benefit of it. Also, they get the optimum information. Because English language has some beautiful words. So optimum means neither more nor less. So if you give more, that's also difficult, as you are giving in the case of Pablo. If you give less, then the version is ke andar bhoot naachte hain. So in order to optimize our work and to provide it to the society, because ultimately it is for the ease of living for the society. And as was being being said by Professor Sood, we are now into very ambitious plans which will have a global implication. We are into National Research Foundation, the Anusandhan, which I personally believe, I hope I prove to be right, is going to be a better version of the National Research Society. Dr. Akhilesh is there, who's put in his heart and almost soul into it. Because if the soul goes out, it's difficult to survive, but he has actually done that. So we have tried to make a very comprehensive, with the representation not only of the science, research, industry, but also including the social sciences, social humanities, in order to give it a larger Indian context and to combine it with the traditional medicine also. Because it is this government in the last 10 years, the Prime Minister himself, at whose behest the world started observing International Yoga Day, and then the world also observed the International Day of Millets. Similarly, we are into quantum technology, one of the very few nations, mentioned by Professor Sood, is something which is going to be an important component of our scientific experiments in the days to come. And that has also proved that we do not adopt what has already happened outside. We are now also almost at the same pace. Like we adopted television almost 20 years later. It happened there in 1950s. We started with a Kisan program and a Chitrahar somewhere in 1970. The computer also happened like that. It was no longer so. So we are at the same pace, and in certain ways we are also ahead of others. And similarly also the artificial intelligence. In fact, in this country, sometimes I was telling them, there is not only that we are at same pace as others, we are sometimes overdoing also with artificial intelligence by creating all these fake pictures or whatever, deep fake. So we are now also looking for how to optimize the use of artificial intelligence through intervention of human intelligence. So we've gone that far now. So and I think that has also received recognition by the world across. That is the reason when Prime Minister was there in DC, in Washington DC, it was the Americans who solicited that they wanted to have one of our astronauts to accompany them to the International Service Station. And of the 4 who have been selected yesterday, the Group Captain Nair, Group Captain Pratap, Group Captain Krishnan, and also Wing Commander Shukla, one of them might also be offered as to join that venture. I mean, the decision will be taken later on. So, but we are now in that position where we can actually collaborate at an equal platform. And since this is a ceremonial program, I don't wish to go on and on, but I think to conclude, I was just thinking when I was sitting on the stage, because I keep reading all these biographies, one of the very notable comments made by C.V. Raman, when possibly it was not received in the same spirit, was that if India has to progress, it has to be through science and still more science. And suddenly it struck me, because that was the first sentence the Prime Minister spoke in this video, कि भारत की प्रगति के लिए विज्ञान. So now we are in an era where the Raman effect has started showing its effect under Prime Minister Modi. Thank you.
माननीय मंत्री जी, वैज्ञानिक चेतना से लैस आपके संबोधन के लिए हम आपका आभार व्यक्त करना चाहते हैं और इस कार्यक्रम के सफल निष्पादन के लिए अब मैं धन्यवाद ज्ञापन हेतु आमंत्रित करता हूं हेड एनसीएसटीसी डॉक्टर रश्मि शर्मा जी को. डॉक्टर रश्मि शर्मा जी, आप कृपया आएं और इस पूरे.
Thank you very much, sir. Chaudhary sir, what our Dr. Jitendra Singh ji spoken about important deliberations.
He was addressing a gathering of people who had celebrating the National Science Day, and he made an elaborate speech. I think it is still going on, but I I had the opportunity to catch the important parts of it, and some of the things on which he emphasized, I think can be mentioned like this. He said that first and foremost, India has a huge eco startup system. We are in fact rated at number 3 in the world, which is a great achievement for us because down the one decade we are nowhere. So now we have the biggest startup system, which means in the times to come, new industries, new businesses, new technologies, they will explode in India and we will become one of the leaders in this field. So that's a very important statement made by him in terms of startup ecosystem, which is very good. This is doing great guns in the country. Right. Secondly, he also mentioned about electrical vehicles, that by the year 2030, we are going to have all our two-wheelers converted into the production of probably fossil fuel vehicles will stop. And that's a great achievement. If we done that, all these will go a great way to restore the ecology of the earth also. So the science doesn't stand alone. It goes in tune with the requirements of humanity. That is also brought out in this. Right. He also talked about the great strides made in the health industry, some hormone gene therapy, which has been established now in India also. So we are one of the countries where it can be done now. He also said that our research activities are not only confined to the lab, no, but they are actually started contributing to the society. So that is the transition phase. From the research labs, we come out to the actual utilization of that research into society. So we have already begun doing that. He also mentioned about the renewed role for CSIR and reaching out to all the stakeholders, doing such things which are useful to the nations and required by nations, and optimization of the work taken on priority basis, etc. So CSIR is now made into an effective tool for the implementation of science in this country. That is one of the important points is made. And he said that science is not confined to physical sciences alone. It also includes the other social and humanistic sciences. For instance, the inclusion of Yoga Day into the as an international yoga day. That was an achievement of the government. So that means the science is also applying to the social and humanity sciences. He also later I heard him making a mention about the quantum technology, which is the advanced part of computer technology. We have made good headway, and we are one of the few nations who are actually working on it, and we have a ranking in the among the community of nations who are working in quantum technology. And what the last I heard was that uh, uh, anything in the modern context of science and technology is incomplete without the vision of artificial intelligence. So in that also we are just as good as any other nation. We are making great strides. In fact, in some ways, we can even say that we are a little bit ahead of others also. That's also as he was mentioned. So the overall picture is very optimistic. We have covered a lot of ground, and we are a nation which in the times to come is going to be a great nation in terms of science and technological development and achievements.
Right, sir. Then our Sanskriti Foundation actually want to become a national resource center for culture. Actually, it's working for the to protect, preserve, and practice Bharatiya culture, and it was through this actually education, training, and all this. Now, almost in the recent past years, 18 research institutions being visited by our almost 48 colleges, almost 1,000 students visited, and later on, almost it is spread over the 50,000 students to get in inspiring into the science temperament. And now some of on one or two institutions now visited by our students, we can watch it now. And finally, we close our live session after viewing that videos sent by our students.
Just one way, half a minute before we start that. In the foregoing years, when we interacted with the students who have visited premier institutes, they were thrilled, and you have seen the joy, on their faces when they visited things which about which they really did not know. So this activity is bringing fruits. We do see that the students get inspired by it, and they definitely it will motivate them to contribute in a great way to the society in the times.
Sir, great sir. You can watch it now.
Exact elevated or exact rock type, like some kind of rocks give some type of method in every method. So they give us the map. If something is not exposed, we can took their help. So we you take that is a separate unit. So we do drilling. If I get valid iron here, so I will check the whole area. So
Thank you very much, sir, for being with us, Chaudhary sir. Actually, Sanskriti Foundation has been striving towards the nation building through these different programs. Uh, so I wish you all the best, and again, in the coming years, uh, any of your ideas about promoting this scientific temperament in this field?
Yeah, this activity is going to move from strength to strength in the coming years, and we possibly will reach out to more colleges, to more institutes. We may even consider sending them out of these twin cities for other important places, and the sky is the limit. We just we have made a great beginning, and we definitely aim to expand these activities and take it to its logical conclusion.
Thank you very much for today. We come with another great session. That's all for the day now.